Do your Google Ads campaigns keep breaking? I've been doing Google Ads since 2004, and if you are running campaigns and you're running into issues where you make a tweak or a change and performance just takes a hit every time you do that, then stick around because in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what's happening and how to fix it. Hi, I'm Chelsea Stowe. I've been helping businesses with their Google Ads campaigns for almost 20 years. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to make sure that you have consistent and predictable performance and making sure that you're going up and to the right and not having erratic behavior, erratic performance, and conversion rates and lead costs, especially if you're running YouTube ads. And so let's get into why your campaigns might seem like they are breaking every time you fix something. And the first reason is listening to Google's recommendations. So I know that it's Google and I know that it's, AI driven and they're giving you recommendations on how to improve your performance, but they are not advising you well. If they're telling you to 2x your budget, 3x your budget, that's a bad idea because you have trained and learned algorithms that are going out and they're buying traffic on your behalf. And if everything's running smoothly and then all of a sudden they have a 2x budget, things are going to go wonky. It's going to look like it breaks and it's going to take a while for it to then settle back into its normal flow. And so if you're listening to Google Ads with your target CPA bids, budget changes, you're probably going to see some erratic behavior. And it's going to be even more exaggerated if you're using things like optimized targeting and expanded audiences. So really, you want to use caution, use a grain of salt when you are applying Google's recommendations. I know you think you could trust that, right? But you really can't. And so make sure that you have a human element that is, reviewing the recommendations. Don't set them to auto apply as far as bid changes and budget changes. I don't think there is a budget change auto recommendation, but Google has these recommendations where you can put a setting so that it automatically applies every time the recommendation is generated. Don't do that when it comes to budgets or bids. I don't think it will let you do it for budgets, but take my advice. It will definitely get your campaigns all put out of whack, and it takes like 2 weeks to get it back down, then 7 to 14 days. So use caution when using Google's recommendations. And so the second thing you should be avoiding to make sure that you have consistent and smooth and improving performance is ratcheting budgets up. So like I mentioned earlier, Google's AI has a flow and it has these learnings, it has these predictable environments. And when you come in and you start to mess around with that, such as by increasing its ability to go out and spend, it's going to, act like a alien in a new environment and it's looking all over the place. And so that's what happens to your performance. It just gets all kind of wonky until it figures out, okay, here's where your leads are coming from. Here's where your conversions are. So it takes some time to settle down. The correct way is to just use incremental increases. And so I like to stick to about 10% increases every 2 to 3 days, really slow and gentle, just kind of ease those budgets up. And then you want to wait a couple days because if your performance starts to go down, so if you're raising your budgets and you see your cost per lead go up and stay up, not come back down, then you need to dial that back down. And so then you're like, okay, this audience can't handle that much budget, so let's move on to something else. And then you want to, notate that or mark that somehow. But be very gentle when you are messing with budgets. And 10% increases every few days is pretty safe. Once a week is even better, but just go lightly. And now the third thing to keep in mind is your target CPA bid. The same thing applies. So if you are increasing target CPA bids or decreasing them too drastically, it could put the AI a bit out of whack and go to kind of freak out for a while and then settle back down. And so make sure that you are just doing very small incremental adjustments. Now that I say that, you can lower your budgets pretty dramatically if you need to without much issue. It's the increasing that matters. But with your target CPA bids, you want to be careful with lowering your bids especially. I try not to touch my target CPA bids if I could help it. Obviously if you come into some seasonal changes and your conversion rates drop, you need to raise your target CPA bids to stay in line with what Google is able to achieve. And the reason why is because if Google cannot hit your target CPA bid, it will just stop serving traffic and your leads are going to die down. So you need to stay on top of your actual performance and your target CPA bids, but I wouldn't try to manipulate your performance by changing your bid. So be very careful with bid changes, especially just go very slow and very gentle. 10 to 20% increases, I would stay more on the lower end of that and give it some time, 7 days if you can help it. Give it some time to settle into those new target CPA bids. Now, the fourth thing to avoid to make sure that you have stable performance is changing bid strategies too often. So you're going from maximize conversions to target CPA, back to maximize conversions, to maximize click to try to overcome some issues. That is not the right strategy. My recommendation would be to relaunch campaigns instead of changing your bid strategy. It's just a lot safer and it allows you to revert back to old bid strategies should you need to. Now, bid strategies do have a learning period, so it's typically about 7 days, but I would definitely refrain from changing bid strategies very frequently and very often. Just relaunch a new campaign if you have to do that. It's going to keep your performance a lot more consistent. It's going to help you avoid those disastrous learning phases as you are resettling into a new bidding strategy with your performing campaigns. The fourth thing not to do in your Google Ads campaigns, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but do not ignore your target CPA bids. They could definitely harm you if your conversion rates start to fall or your CPCs start to go up and Google is not able to achieve your target CPA bids any longer. You really want to give it some buffer as well. And so it's a bit of a misnomer to say a target CPA bid. It's really a target CPA max bid, right? So it's the maximum you're willing to spend, which should be higher than your target. So if your target CPA bid is 20% higher than what it's actually hitting, you're going to be in a safe zone because as conversion rates fluctuate throughout the month or throughout the year, you should be pretty safe. But you really do not want to ignore your target CPA bid, especially if you're not really adjusting it, because if your performance starts to fall out of line, then it could kick you into a new learning phase and it could just kill traffic overall. So don't ignore your target CPA bids, keep a close eye on them, and try to keep them about 20% above what the actual performance is. Now, if you're seeing huge fluctuations of volatility in your Google Ads campaigns, I absolutely know where you're coming from. I offer a free audit. You're welcome to click the link below and apply to get a free audit with me. It's in the description link below. There's a link to apply for a free audit. And I will go ahead and take a look at your campaigns and try to help you identify what's causing your volatile performance and why you're not getting the results that you want. So that is definitely available. I also have this video that can tell you more about how I look at and audit a campaign. So go ahead and check that out. But if you'd like to apply for a free audit to work with me, click the link below. And I will see you on the next video.